Hi, welcome to Vegetable Gardening 101. I'm Adrienne Hunsberger.
And I'm Mary Lamberts, and we're going to talk about planting a vegetable garden using seeds. We have two main types of seeds that we plant with. One of them are seeds that are really big, so things like beans, which are real big, and then we have carrots and lettuce, which are real small. So Adrienne, show us how we're going to plant a large seeded vegetable.
Okay, well first of all we need to find out exactly how deep are we going to be planting our seeds, as well as the distance between each plant. So Mary, can you tell us one way to find out?
Well, the easiest way and probably most accurate for where you live is to look at a vegetable gardening guide for your state. We're using the one from Florida, and that says for bean seeds that we should plant the plants 2 to 3 inches apart, and we're going to put them at a depth of 1 to 2 inches.
And also, you probably have noticed that on the back of your seed packet, it's got the similar information. Sometimes there's a little discrepancy between what it says on the seed packet versus the university's recommendations. So it's kind of up to you to decide which way you want to do it.
So one of the tricks that we have for planting is people say, well, how do I know how to plant 1.5 inches or 2 inches deep? And you can use a ruler, but that's sort of hard to stick in the ground. You can use a stick that we call a dibble stick, and we've taken a magic marker and we've marked off 1, 1.5, and 2 inches on it. But you have something even handier, and that's your finger. Using this ruler, you can see that from the tip of my finger to the second knuckle, it's 2 inches. So I can use that, and to the first knuckle, it's about 1 inch. So Adrienne, you want to borrow my dibble stick?
Sure.
And plant these beans. Let's do them so they're about 2 inches deep, and let's put them about 3 inches apart.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and make all the holes first before we start planting them, because if we do it this way I can easily see the spacing that is going to be between each plant. And Mary, what happens if you don't happen to have your planting, your seed packet, or your university recommendations? What's a trick to remember as far as how deep to plant your seeds?
What you want to do is you want to plant your seeds 1.5 to 2 times as deep as the seed is wide.
So you can see with the bean seed it's quite thick or wide, and so we just want to plant it 1.5 to twice that depth. So we'll just go ahead and plant one seed in each hole. If you want to go ahead and do that, Mary. And because the germination rates are really good now with commercial seeds, you don't usually need to put more than one seed in each hole, because you just have to thin them out over time, and it's just kind of wasting seeds. Then we just lightly cover the seeds. And then Mary, what happens if I come out here next week and I need to remember what I planted?
Well, what we've done is we've been eating a lot of popsicles. And so we're using a popsicle stick, and that's nice because it's wood, and we write on it with a pencil, and we're going to label it so it says beans. And I'm going to stick it in about where this row is. You can also use the seed packet, and we should have opened at the other end, because then we could put that over the top.
Right.
And do that.
And you can just wrap it in plastic so it doesn't melt when it rains. Now, how come you wouldn't want to use a pen to write on your popsicle stick?
I don't even want to use a magic marker because they wash off over time and they get really faded. But with a pencil, it doesn't wash off in the rain. So that's a nice trick to know. Now, as easy as those bean seeds were to plant, carrots are a big challenge, and a lot of us like carrots. So what we're doing is we're looking at the spacing here for this area, and it says that the carrots should be 1 to 3 inches apart, and we should plant them 1/2 inch deep. So that is really, really shallow. So could you make me a little area that's about 1/2 inch deep, please, Adrienne?
Sure. So I'm just going to make a little furrow because it's a lot easier this way.
Okay. Now, what you can do is you can take and you can fold your seed packet so that you have a nice little point on it. But what I've done is I've put some carrot seeds on a folded piece of stiffer paper. And this works okay as long as you don't have a real windy day. And then what you do is you very carefully drop the seeds in, and even though it's not windy right now, it's still hard for me to get the seeds exactly where I want, but I'm having to be real patient with this. So the method that I prefer is I have a little bit of sand in this container, and I'm adding the carrot seeds, and so I have them in here, and I mix them up pretty well with the sand, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to drip this over this section here, and that's going to space it out for me. Now, if I got really pretty generous with my carrot seeds, I can always thin them out later on. And I want to thin carrot seeds out because otherwise you have carrots that are real hard to peel because the roots intertwine and they get weird shaped. Now, Adrienne, you want to show how you would cover this row up?
Right, so what we want to do is, because these seeds cannot be planted very deep at all, or else when they germinate they'll fail to come all the way out to the soil, is you just very lightly brush the soil over. You want to make sure you've got some contact of the soil to the seed. You don't want any big air pockets, but that's usually good enough.
Right, now the last seed we're going to show is lettuce. And so lettuce we're going to put in between our beans and our carrots, and this is an even shallower seed. And so what I'm doing is I'm making just a little tiny area there. These seeds are bigger than the carrot seeds are, and with lettuces we're going to want them about 4 or 5 inches apart. So I can take and I can space these out, and even if I thin my lettuce, I can go ahead and eat my lettuce. So I'm going to plant them like this, in this line.
And that's the point too, is that after your garden starts to sprout, is you could, if you have too many plants in one space, you can go ahead and thin them out. And as Mary said, for the lettuce, why throw that away? I mean, that's something you can just go ahead and add to your salad.
So I'm just sprinkling a little bit of sand over the top, and that's just enough so that the lettuce seed is barely covered, and then it will be easy to germinate that way. So I'm going to write my lettuce on here, and then I'll know where they are, and then we can go ahead and water them in.
Okay, so this is another critical area that some people have a problem with, is how do you water your garden without really causing any problems. So because we're planting a lot of the small seeds here today, it would not have been a good idea to do this right before a big thunderstorm, because what would happen is a lot of rain coming down would wash our seeds away. Nor would we want to use a garden hose, because that would cause problems as well. This is one of my favorite techniques, is just using your handy dandy little watering can and something that just gently puts water out. You can also use these old-fashioned sprinkler heads where the holes are really small, or if you have really tiny seeds, you can use even a spritz bottle. So Mary, can you talk to us a little bit about how moist or how wet our soil should be?
Well, before you plant, you want your soil to be somewhat wet, but not to be soggy wet. So if you were to take a handful of the soil and squeeze it and water ran out, then that's too wet and you want it to dry out. So it should be just a little bit damp, so if you held it and squeezed it, it would leave the impression of your fingers, and then you can add some water to it.
And also, when you first seed your garden, you're probably going to have to be checking it about every single day. So don't plan your garden seeded and then go away for a week for vacation. So what you need to do is come out and check often and see how the soil moisture is. And if you start seeing the soil surface starting to dry out, you need to start watering it. And then once the plants start coming up, then you don't have to water every day anymore.
You can back off to every 2 to 3 days. You want about an inch of water a week, and hopefully it'll rain, or you can water it a couple times a week so that you do that.
And we're going to be having other videos to show you different things about raised bed gardening. We're going to even have some tips and show you things about South Florida as well.
Thank you for watching Vegetable Gardening 101. We hope you enjoyed it.
And happy gardening!
Thank you.